got it. Tech 9, let's go.
KCMO, roll.
I'm representing
KCMO, roll.
Yeah.
What is up, everyone? I am Chris Knight, and you are watching Chaos Central's The Rule of Three here on the Real Review 3000. Now, I got the usual suspects, which I'm going to get flack for using that. But I got the usual suspects with me.
You better be careful using the usual suspects. You might get copywritten claimed.
Mm-hmm. But we got Nzo, Biggaford Entertainment here, and Danny, a.k.a. Comic Chat. So, guys, why don't you tell everybody about yourselves, where you can be found, all of that good stuff. We'll start with you, Nzo. Go ahead.
Yes, that's right, guys. You can find me at Biggaford Entertainment. You can also find me on The Rule of Three, Chaos List, and Chaos Conversation, along with other shows. But those are the shows that I do with my three partners here. And those are the ones I would like you guys to really check out. They're good shows. And also sign up to Chaos Central so that we can get the vanity title on that. And yeah, I'm pissed off with Danny. So next up.
All right, Danny, go ahead.
I am Danny, aka Comic Chat. Piggyback off what Nzo said, you can find me on several different shows. Rule of Three tonight. Last night was the Chaos List. Night before was the Chaotic Conversation. Saturday will be Square One. Sunday will be Planet Solo. And Sunday night will be Mandalorian Roundtable. And probably tonight, you may see me on Robert Storm. So I'm all over the place. So please support us. Please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. We have a lot of good content. So please hit us up.
I don't think Storms is tonight, but I'm doing OCC. Are you coming on? Oh, OC, my bad.
It's Wednesday night. I don't get my days off. Yeah. What's this? What time?
10 o'clock.
You said 10 o'clock?
Yeah, but we're not gonna do 3 hours.
I may come on. I can't. Yeah, I can't do that. My wife is like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I know. I know.
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I know.
All right, guys. Yeah, so here we are doing the Rule of Three like we do every Wednesday. And it's really simple, guys. 3 topics, all 3 of us, 3 minutes on the board. That makes 3, 3, and 3. That's the Rule of 3. Things in 3 are better. That's what they say. I tend to agree with them, but let's go ahead and reveal the board and spin for our first topic. Hey, Garrett, how you doing? Flash Thompson, Nindroid, good to see you guys in the chat.
What's up, guys?
Oh, and right off the bat, this is an interesting one. So John Boyega's response to rumors that he might be casted as the next James Bond was, let's do this. 1, do you think he would make a good James Bond? And 2, would you want to see his portrayal of James Bond? So take that off the board. We'll put that into the chat. And I love how that just clipped the last letter. Gee whiz, really, people? All right, well, shit happens. All right, so we will go ahead and we will go to our timer. We will go to our Rule of 3 timer. And time, or who wants to go first? How about that one?
I'll go first.
Okay, Nzo, go ahead. 3 minutes on the board.
Okay. You know what? I like John Boyega as an actor, so I would be definitely willing to give him a chance as James Bond. I'm just worried that other people won't give him a chance because you're always hearing that stuff about, oh, well, James Bond can't be a black guy. James Bond can't be a black guy. And they did have Idris Elba in talks to be James Bond, and because of that, he kind of bounced out with that, you know what I mean? And I always say that as long as they stick to James Bond's character, it doesn't really matter what color he is. So I definitely would like to see him. I wouldn't mind seeing him as James Bond. Now, would he make a good James Bond? I don't know. I kind of don't see it. You know what I mean? I think he's more of like I guess you would want to say a bad boy type of guy. You know what I mean? Idris Elba is more like that smooth, put on a suit type of, girls love him type of thing. So I could see more Idris Elba as James Bond. But at the end of the day, I'm definitely willing to see a new type of Bond. I'm willing to see a black person play Bond. I don't have no issue with that. Man, I didn't even have an issue when they said they were going to make a woman the James Bond. I really didn't have an issue with that. So I just want to see a good story. As long as you put in a good story, you're not you're not making it a point to where, oh, look, we got a black James Bond in the movie and everything you do is black, black, black. And you just forget about the fact that he is a black man and you just focus on the fact that he's playing Bond. Or if they put a woman in there that's playing Bond and you do that, then you can have a good story. But I find once you get into that SJW stuff, that's when things get a little bit chippy and iffy. You know what I mean? People are doing the same thing right now with Batwoman. They're not happy with the fact that Batwoman's going to be a black woman. And I'm like, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, I'm willing to see that. But the problem with Batwoman is that the SJW stuff takes over the story instead of having the story take over all of that stuff. So if they get that right, I'm definitely be down to see John Boyega's James Bond. I'd be down to see Idris Elba as James Bond. Heck, I'll even be down to see Henry Cavill as James Bond. It doesn't really matter to me as long as you have the story in place and you get rid of all that agenda-driven stuff. If you do that, you got my money, man. Like I said. So, I think he would be a good James Bond. He's a good actor, so I'll say yes. I think he would be a James Bond. It's just still for me, it just remains to be seen if he can do it. But other than that, I would definitely be down to see him as James Bond. Facts.
Awesome. Okay. Danny, 3 minutes on the board. Go ahead.
I do not want to see Boyega play James Bond. First of all, I don't think he's old enough. I don't think he's cool enough. I don't even think he's handsome enough. Most of James Bonds have been like one of the beautiful people, and I don't consider him one of the beautiful people. Not that I meet gays or anything, but just facts is facts. Idris Elba has the cachet. He has a word to describe him would be debonair. He has the swag. I don't think Boyega has enough swag, has enough miles, so to speak, on the tires to pick up such an iconic role. I think you need to be a little bit older. Sure, he has an accent, but you're gonna need more than an accent. He's gonna have to be believable. When I see him in a suit, I don't see James Bond at all. When I see Idris Elba, when I see Henry Cavill, I can picture in my mind's eye James Bond. So I think it'd be a terrible idea to go with someone that young. Usually it's the other way around. Somebody's being too old, but in this case, he is too young, in my opinion. I'm not really a big fan of his. I know a lot of people liked him as Finn in Star Wars. That's only the really thing I ever seen him in, and I thought he was overacting in a lot of the scenes, in my opinion. Will he grow out of that? Will he be a better actor? Has he been better in other movies? Probably so. But like I said, I haven't watched him. Not really a fan of his. He doesn't move my needle. Definitely not in a positive direction. Not that I hate him or he's the worst that I've seen, but he's just not my cup of tea. Nothing that I'm going to get excited about unless he starts to be in more consistently good roles. So Boyega as James Bond, I think would be a terrible mistake. I'm going to reiterate what I said. If he's just not coming in, he is too young. He does not look good enough for the James Bond role. I don't know if he can pull off that. That is a very iconic character, and it needs to be handled. The right person needs to get it. So in my opinion, he can't do it.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, not that I disagree. But okay. 3 minutes for me. I'm kind of with Danny on this. I don't know if he's old enough. I don't know about the look thing. I mean, I look at him different times. I'm not sure that oh God, now I forget his name. The guy that's currently doing it.
Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig. I'm not sure if when he first was cast that I would have put him on there. I mean, I remember when he was in Tomb Raider and stuff, and it wasn't like he was a bad looking guy. Just he looked kind of scruffy. And I think they cleaned him up and made him gruff, but the look came in with the development team. I think they kind of know how to make a person look like Bond if he's casted as Bond. So I'm not going to say no. Would I want to see it? Probably not, because again, with Danny, age, I think he should be a little older, and I guess I got to see a wider array of work to know. Henry Cavill, I could see, and Nzo, you said it. Idris Elba. I did a series, guys. Go check it out on the channel. 3-part series about who has been talked about being the next James Bond and who I think the top picks were going to be, and then I tell you who I wanted it to be, and I'll spoil it, but please go watch it. I would appreciate it. It is Idris Elba. That's who I think. Barbara Broccoli, Chubby Broccoli's daughter, who now is the executive producer, whatever you want to say, of the Bond films. She even said the time is now to have a black Bond. She said that no woman would ever be Bond. So I think as long as she's in charge, you will see a black Bond. I don't know if it'll be next, but I'd love to see Idris Elba be that. I'd also like to see Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was actually, I think, second place to Daniel Craig. And they just thought he was a little too young. And so that is a very good point that Danny makes. If they thought he was a little too young back when they were looking, I think that John Boyega is a little too young. So how do I think he'd do? I think he could pull it off. I think he could, but I'm not sure if I'd have to see more to make me really buy into it. I don't know if I could see him just jump right in and be on board, but maybe I could be. I don't know. 3 minutes to all the others together.
I mean, you guys say too young. John Boyega is 28, right? So let's say by the time they get this Bond written and filmed, maybe 2 years, he'd be 30, 31. I think that's a good age for that. I don't think he has to be that old. You know what I mean? So the point is, my issue is if he could pull it off. He's a really good actor. If you guys haven't seen Attack the Block, you need to watch that. He was really good in that movie, you know. And a lot of people are judging him on what he did with Star Wars. And if you're just judging him that, then you won't see it in him. But if you watch Attack the Block, you could see Bond in him.
Yeah, I mean, I would not base his character on Star Wars on what I would think he would do, because my main concern of that is that they didn't allow his character development to go from first movie to the third movie. It went from the first movie, hit a roadblock. They gave him a different type of character, being comic relief almost in the second one, and then kind of picked up where the first one left off in the third one, but not quite as developed as he should be by the end of the third one. So I don't blame that on him. I think he acted the best he could with what he was given. I think actually all the people on the Disney Star Wars acted the best they could with what they were given.
I agree.
Flash Thompson said it good, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go right ahead. Read that.
He said it good that John Boyega's a great actor. You could argue he is what made Star Wars trilogy great. I ain't gonna say all that, but then he also to say, but he doesn't look it. No, Flash Thompson said John Boyega is 28. Curtis said he's too young, and Curtis then says, but he doesn't look it. That's the problem. Bond looks like a gentleman, not a young man. So that is my main argument. I think he's too young to pull off Bond, even at 30. I think, and I just don't think he is attractive enough to pull off the Bond. I mean, the most of Bonds that I've seen have been men that have been considered the sexiest men alive. I don't think you can ever see that about John Boyega. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm just going by what I've
understand what you're saying.
What I've read.
I don't think Daniel Craig was considered one of the sexiest man alive until
I think, yeah, that may be true, but I don't think Boyega gonna ever fit that title. Which I say I don't never vote that. I don't give a damn. I'm just saying. He's not my Bond. I don't know if I'd go see him unless I heard from one of you guys and say, Danny, you might really want to check it out.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd pay my money. I'd be beating down the door on opening night to go see it.
But have you seen like Attack the Block or even Detroit?
I haven't.
What about Detroit?
Only thing I've seen he played in was Star Wars and the thing with the robots.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you need to see like Detroit and Attack the Block. Those are good movies.
Okay. Next question. Kind of sticking with the Star Wars theme somewhat. If you were tasked with taking one failed movie from the Star Wars or Star Trek movie series and redoing it, which movie would you choose and what would you change about it? And why do you think this would help? Make sure I copied and pasted that. I'm sure this is going to be like a two-parter in the chat, but we'll go ahead.
What do you consider failed though? Because I mean, like the Star Wars trilogy, they all made money. So if you're talking,
well, I don't mean money. I mean, let's talk about it. What people's perception was of it.
I gotta say this, hey, bro. I'm definitely not no meat gazer. I love women. It is ever, according to women that I talk around with, they think he is a cat's meow. So that's why I say that.
They do.
He don't move my needle one way or the other. No man does.
No. I'm right there too.
You're talking about Flash's comment?
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to start this one?
I'll start it.
All right. 3 minutes on the board, Danny. Go right ahead.
I would take the last Star Wars and just totally destroy that. The Rise of Skywalker. I kind of bleed over into the Last Jedi too. I wouldn't have killed Luke off. I would have made Luke like the most powerful Jedi we have ever seen. He would do shit. You'd be like, what the hell? That would even surpass what we've seen Yoda do. Then I would have him maybe get killed and maybe in the Return of Skywalker. I mean, yeah, the last one, the Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. And he passes it on as he reunites Rey and Kylo Ren. I would have made them a couple, or kind of flirty towards each other. Maybe not necessarily we would see it, but it would be implied. I would show how they rebuild in the Jedi Order. Then I would have ended the movie with something dark and sinister, because as you read the books and you read the lore, whenever there's light, there's always going to be dark. So as they're rebuilding and getting the Jedi Academy back on pace, back on course, I would be showing another thing somewhere else in another part of the galaxy where maybe the Sith or someone is doing something that may be one of the things that lead you down the dark path or the dark side of the Force. I wouldn't have had it all crazy and confused like it was. I just would have had Luke Skywalker in the Last Jedi. That fight between him and Kylo Ren would have been epic. He would have beat him so bad, they can realize that he has so much more to learn and teach him. Then as it progresses into the Rise of Skywalker, they would kind of reunite. I wouldn't bring the Emperor back. I would do something with Snoke. I think Snoke character just wasn't done enough, not enough character development. I would have made him the main bad guy and do more and show him using the dark side powers at an incredible level. And then him and Luke would probably battle it out in the Rise of Skywalker, or whatever the name of this movie would have been, the third installment of the sequels. And then probably him, Rey, and Kylo Ren would have to combine to beat Snoke and whatever minion or minions he may have had. That's how I would have done it, something more more along those lines. They would have defeated Snoke, but then Snoke would have had a contingency plan with some other person, maybe like Star Killer or somebody of that magnitude or something in the winds, practicing and planning and plotting, trying to get back at the new Jedi Order as it was reemerging. So that's what I would have done.
Okay. All right. Nzo, 3 minutes on the board. Go right ahead.
All right, so I would have just started from like Force Awakens. I would have completely redone that movie, and I would have basically um, did it on Luke's kids, right? Luke's and Han kids. So Luke would have had 2 kids. Han would have still had Kylo as their kids, and I would have focused my story around them. The first story I would have shown something that we've never seen in Star Wars, which would have been the trials. Or at least I don't think we've seen it in live action. We might have seen it in Clone Wars. I haven't watched the whole series, like every episode, to know if they have. But I would show them going through their trials. You know what I mean? I would have Luke maybe still searching for other Jedis, but he would have trained a couple of Jedis. He would be married. I would have think his wife's name was Jade in the comic, or Jade or whatever.
Yeah.
He would have had her. Han and Leia would have been leaders of the resistance. The rebels. You know, just because Darth Vader and Palpatine were dead, the Empire would still be around, and they'd be basically Empire trying to rebuild and maybe look for a Sith user, Force user, so that they can at least balance the powers out. You know, they still be running the universe. It would still be the rebels trying to take control of the Empire. The Empire would be hurt. You know what I mean? They would have issues, but I would definitely make sure that I focus on Luke's kids and Han's kids, and they would be the ones that would bring the balance to the Force. Because in Jesus Christ, Revenge of the Sith, when they talk about the prophecy, Yoda says a prophecy could have been read wrong. And that's what my basically story would have been on, is how we all thought Luke was the one who was to bring balance to the Force, but it was supposed to be one of Han or Leia's kids. I haven't decided who I would make do that, but that's how I would do it. And then my last movie, it would be a trilogy. Last movie would be just a big battle between some Sith and Jedi, like they did in Attack of the Clones, but a lot bigger, you know? I would also make sure that the Jedi are outnumbered. So you would have way more Sith than Jedi. I would do exactly what Danny said. I would show new Force powers. There was one in Force Awakens where he's taking down a Star Destroyer. And that's what I wanted to see in one of these movies. I know they did it with Rey, but it was kind of weak the way they did it, you know? So I would have done it a little bit more like the video game, where he's just showing how powerful he is. I would have had his sister show how powerful she is, and we would see them do things that they've never done, like Force users, you know? I wouldn't do the Force Skyping or anything like that. I really didn't like that crap, but that's what I would do. I would start with Force Awakens.
Okay. I'm kind of with Danny on this. I didn't have, fundamentally, the whole trilogy, I didn't have an issue with anything per se. I never had a problem with Luke being the grumpy guy. He was kind of like that anyways. Whenever anything would go wrong, he'd be like, oh, damn it. You know, he was kind of like that. I mean, he's kind of whiny, and I hate to tell that to people who love Luke. Yes, he turned out to be the Jedi that everybody wanted, but we didn't get to see that. So, yes, I would not have killed him in The Last Jedi. Less comedy in The Last Jedi. Continue the story development of your main characters that you were on a path for in The Force Awakens. Snoke, don't kill him. These things would have fundamentally set the course for the third movie in the right direction. Fixing little things. More training for Rey in The Last Jedi. If that stuff had happened, you would have never heard a problem with this whole series. The people who have a problem with The Last Jedi would not have had a problem if you gradually got her to a point where she learned the Force. Automatically have Luke sense that she is strong with the Force, and there's a lot of potential in her, but he has to find a way to harness it and make it what needs to be. So I would have done that. I would have had the training that people always wanted to see her get. The 5 seconds of training she gets in The Rise of Skywalker was just thrown in there because people were bitching about it. And it's like, it doesn't even make sense for it to be there because it's about, so now she gets trained, even though she's done all this other stuff. Luke didn't need to die there. If he died in the whole thing, fine. It needs to be in the third one. It needs to be in the third one, have meaning. You have Kylo turn to the light, work with Rey and Luke to defeat Snoke. And maybe bring the Emperor back too, since the Emperor claims that he did, he was in charge of Snoke or that trained Snoke or whatever. That's fine. You can incorporate those things. But in the final battle between all of them, Luke dies, which gives weight to everything at near the end of the third movie. And then Ben and Rey work together to defeat Snoke and the Emperor to win the day. And that they become the new hope for the Force and for the Republic. I think you could have easily avoided the problems they had in the second or third one just by paying attention to little things, and they just didn't do that. So, hey LDG, what's going on? Good to see you.
What up, Pickles?
All right, all three of us. Here we go.
So first off, my thing is, this is the end of the Skywalker saga, and these three movies really had nothing to do with the Skywalkers. This is why I would have focused on the kids of them, right? And I would have ended that 9-chapter movie like that. And then whatever they want to do after that, they can go straight off into something else. You know what I mean? But for me, I'm just like, you got to do something better than what they did, man. Like, you can't end it as a Skywalker saga and then have a Palpatine win.
Well, that's why I said is that you would find out in some way. Okay, if you left Ben there and Ben lives and Ben and Luke are fighting together, well, Ben theoretically is a Skywalker. I mean, his mom's a Skywalker, so that would work. Yeah,
Skywalker blood.
If Luke is at the end of that movie, it does wrap up his story. That story. And yet you still have a little bit of Skywalker left. I don't think they should have made her a Palpatine. From the get-go, the way she stabbed in The Force Awakens, a lot of people said it, and that was his signature move, Palpatine's. So, okay, fine, you wrap it around, but I think they just took an easy way out because they heard people talking it. I think it would have been better had she been somehow related to Luke. And that they come back around and you find out, like you said, oh, Mara Jade's a part of the story. They had this love child that, as a Jedi, he felt guilty because he's trying to rebuild the Jedi Order to what it used to be, which was can't have kids, can't have that love interest, can't have any of that. So he was trying to do that, but he felt guilty. So he purposely separated himself from her to try to alleviate that. Something like that.
My thing is, I would have actually either still killed Luke in the second one, or I would have probably killed him in the first one, right? Because if I kill him in the first one, then that drives the story of the kids, you know what I mean? And I would have had one kid where it's like, yo, if we could have saved him, and he would have one of those kids would have turned to the dark side, and the story would have been the other two trying to bring him back. I wouldn't have them bring him back at the end, though, because the redemption thing has been played out already. But I think if you keep Luke in all three movies, he overshadows everybody else that's in there. You know what I mean?
I could see that.
So that's why I think he would either go in this. For me, I would kill him in the first one or the second one.
Anything else, Danny?
But if I did kill him, he would come out like a champion.
I want to kill Luke. I just would have given him less screen time. But like I said, either way, really not mad at either scenario.
I mean, I think we all can agree there was two fundamental issues that this trilogy had. The first one is they didn't have that scene everybody wanted with at least Han, Luke, Leia, and Chewie together, and maybe even Lando. Lando could have been in the beginning of this because he was a part of this at the end of the original trilogy. So he could have moved forward. Why do these people all disappear and separate? That's something they needed to think about. Second, there was not enough Luke Skywalker in the first one.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You just can't do that. And so, I mean, fundamentally from the start, while I did like The Force Awakens, there were problems immediately. And then you ran into the same thing you get whenever you get older actors. Carrie Fisher died. Mark Hamill became disenchanted with it because he knew the story wasn't going in the right direction. Harrison Ford just wanted the hell out. I mean, this is the problem you get. So they had inspired their original actors and said, guys, look, the story we've got, you guys are so much a part of this. They may have said, okay, well, let's stick around for this.
I don't understand why they don't strike when the iron is hot. I mean, the first one was what, 77?
Yeah. Well, it was difficult because he didn't think he had the stuff.
I could see the first three.
Okay.
If you're a writer, you gotta have thick skin. I would have not sold my baby. I know $4 billion is a lot of money, but I would not have sold my baby just because fans is pissed off.
Okay.
I don't think that was the only reason, though. That was one of the reasons, but you got to also understand, for him, he was writing, he was directing, right? So it took him at least 3 years to finish a movie, and he was getting older, and he was like, I can't be doing this all the time. You know what I mean? So, but I think he should have did his last 3 and then sold it if he wanted to.
Yeah,
I think so too, for sure. All right, guys. The last question: since the pandemic, movies have been pushed back with no definite on any release dates. Which movie are you most upset about getting pushed back?
I'll start.
Okay. Let me get that into the chat. We'll bring up our timer and go.
Well, one of them is, there's two. One of them is a movie, and one of them is the Disney Plus show, which is Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Bucky. You know what I mean? That I was really disappointed was pushed back, and I think that one didn't even really have to be pushed back because they were almost finished it, right? So they could have put out one episode every 2 weeks or a month if that were the case, just so that they could keep people interest in Disney Plus. But when it comes to the movies, man, I have to say it's Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? That one is one I'm really, really waiting to see, because I have been a Mortal Kombat for so long, and that Scorpion, the Legend of Scorpion, really got my mouth watering for actual. Yeah, it got my mouth watering.
Isn't that the cartoon one you mean?
That is a cartoon.
Dude, that was awesome.
It was so good.
Dude.
And it had my mouth watering for a live action movie, you know? And I was always sitting here and I'm like, oh, I don't like who they picked for Jax. And I think it was Danny that showed me a picture of him actually working out and getting buffed. And then I seen Jackson. And so I was like, okay, this looks good. I look at the cast. I like who they have. The whole cast in that movie, like the cast is amazing. So I'm like, okay, let's get this Mortal Kombat movie done. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it has been pushed back, but that definitely was the movie that I was looking forward to seeing. I mean, when you think about what they could have done in it or what they can do in it, because I went back and I started watching the Mortal Kombat Legacy that's on the internet, you know, just so that I could get a little taste of some more Mortal Kombat. And I think that was the best thing they've done in Mortal Kombat as a series wise. So I'm thinking if the movie can just take even 50% of that, of what they did in that series, it's gonna be good. So for me, it's the Mortal Kombat movie, and on Disney Plus, it's gonna be the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I really want to see what they plan to do with that, you know, how it ties into the universe. Does Falcon become the Captain America in the series, or is it someone else? So there's a lot of things that I wanted to see in that. So that one is definitely one of them. And like I said, the Mortal Kombat, man. I mean, the Wonder Woman I want to see, but not as bad as the Mortal Kombat. So the other Marvel movies are iffy for me, but it's definitely Mortal Kombat.
Okay. All right, Danny. 3 minutes. Go ahead.
That damn Canadian pretty much took my answer.
You can still have it. It's all right.
What's with the hostility today?
It's Mortal Kombat. Like he said, when I first heard it's coming out and I saw the cast, I was like, yeah, this is going to be the one. Only two things about it I'm scared about it. Usually January is a month where they put movies out that they really don't have too much faith in. So maybe that was a blessing that it's pushed back out of January, which seems to be the graveyard for movies that they don't have much faith in. And maybe that gives them more time to work on it. And the second thing that scared me about Mortal Kombat, that this is director's first time. I don't know how much of a student of Mortal Kombat is he. Don't know whether he's a gamer or not. If I did his IMDb page, I think he did like some kind of commercials or something, or videos. So I want to see how that's going to translate to the big screen. Second movie I was interested in seeing is the Morbius. When I first saw Morbius, I was like, now there is someone who was born for that role. He was not born to be the Joker. Did not like his Joker, but I like his Morbius. Also, it looked like it taking shades from the Passage, which was a vampire movie, TV show that came on the year before last that I thought was fantastic, but it got canceled. But if it's going to be anything like that, based on the one trailer we saw, I was hooked and sold on the trailer. How he looks when he's has that illness, how they show how his back and stuff and how skinny he is. And then once he has gotten bitten and transformed to the living vampire, the radar he has, the hearing, more better physique and powers and stuff. So I definitely want to see that. I'm also thinking that's probably going to tie in to the Blade movie, which I'm interested in seeing that too. So if they do it right, Morbius should be a smooth transition into Marvel, possibly teaming up with Sony and doing Blade, Morbius, Spider-Man kind of thing. So that has potential to be something good if they do it right, if the cars line up, the stars line up just right. So those two movies, Mortal Kombat, definitely ready to see that. Very anxious to see that, and I'm also almost equally as anxious to see Morbius. So those two are the biggest disappointments movie-wise for me.
All right. All right. Yeah, all good choices. I would have said Mortal Kombat. But I kind of figured one of you guys are going to do that. I figured one of you might do it with Morbius or the Batman or Wonder Woman or Black Widow. All of those. I think we all can say that we want all of these movies that we know are coming out soon to come out. I think it's an overall, I'm just unhappy with the situation, period. But the one that I am most
shit. About, I know what the fuck it is.
What is it?
Goddamn Ghostbusters.
You're right. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Man, I am such a Ghostbusters fan. It's not even funny. I grew up with that. After 2016, while I didn't hate the movie, I was not very happy with the movie. I think there were bits and pieces in there. I was like, okay, cool. And then they do something. I'm like, oh, God. What I've read, what I've seen, my mind has gone wandering and said, man, I could see where they could take this. I could see where they can go. I could see how they can tie this in there. And I can see how it could continue with Paul Rudd or any one of a number of ways. I was so ready for this movie to come out. And we're still, 10, 11 months away from the date that it was supposed to be released, I think. Mm-hmm. But because they couldn't finish all the shooting and all that, whatever. I just really want to see this, and I think that it could help so much. Now, I'll go to Mortal Kombat. I'm right there with you. I was worried about Mortal Kombat in January, Danny. That was actually a question we had for the Rule of Three before this happened. And by the time we were going to put it on, everything the brakes got hit on everything. So it's kind of like, well, we got to push these. We can't put these questions up because, well, they're no longer relevant to. I mean, it's messed with everybody's stuff. I mean, what we talk about, movies, comics, all that stuff. It just really fundamentally changed the landscape of what we do. But with Mortal Kombat, you're absolutely right. I hope this gives them time, one, to make sure that whatever their plans are, whatever they did have shot, whatever they wanted to do, that it's the correct path for it. And then to rethink the release date. Same thing with Ghostbusters. Look at what you got. Look at what your plan was. Does it work? Do you think it's good? That is the best thing that can happen to all these movies, is the time that they can look and say, what could we do with what we've got and change? What's in the can already? Can we recut it to make it better? Does it make more sense if we cut it this way? You got all the time in the world to really rethink this. And I'm wondering if that isn't why partially they keep pushing these back. Because they could release these movies mixed between home release and theater. They're not going to make what they want, but they're going to at least have something coming in. But big one, after I thought about it, was Ghostbusters. Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you about a couple questions about Mortal Kombat, since you both picked it. One, the director, you said, oh, well, you're not sure about the director, Danny. Do you think that perhaps the rest of the people involved with this movie are going to be there by his side saying, no, let's do this, let's try to do this? Do you think there's somebody there that's going to fundamentally know the ins and outs of Mortal Kombat to keep him on track? Do you think that possibly...
If he has sense, he'd have a consultant. Mm-hmm. Or when he was given the green light to be the director, I would be soaking up every book, every movie, every alliteration of Mortal Kombat, and trying to make sure that I had the characters right. Because if he messes up Raiden, if he messes up Liu Kang, if he messes up Scorpion, if he messes up Sub-Zero, there are going to be some pissed off fans. Because in my opinion, those are the four iconic ones that you don't mess up.
Is Shang-Chi going to be in this?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I don't think
I'm not certain who's going to be. I'm not even sure what the plot is, but I'm fairly certain that Raiden and Scorpion is going to be in it.
I heard it's going to be.
I've seen the cast. Sub-Zero.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
I think from the cast, I definitely remember someone going to play Sub-Zero. Someone's playing Shang-Chi. I'm not Shang-Chi, but Liu Kang. Someone's playing Scorpion, and I think someone's playing Raiden. Those four, he can't mess up. If he messes those up too terribly wrong, or if he changes them, he better change them till they're like freaking awesome. If he changes them and they're crazy, kind of like, I give you a prime example. Nzo, I don't think didn't mind so much the organic webs in Spider-Man, which is Tobey Maguire's his favorite Spider-Man out of three. I didn't like that at all. So if he does something like that, there may be some things that divide the fans.
I actually didn't like the organic webs, to be honest with you. That was the only thing I didn't really.
I thought you did.
No, I didn't like that. But for me, I'm thinking the only thing they need to follow is the video games. They don't need to go to no books. They don't need to go to no other TV shows. They follow the video game, because that's where Mortal Kombat's following is. You know what I mean? And I heard it was supposed to be a mix between Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 2, which I am absolutely fine with. That's why there won't be Chang-Chi in it or any of those guys. I just think you need to stick to it, kind of do it like they did with Scorpion. You know what I mean? Like, they stayed true to it. They had the tournament and everything like that. So, like Danny said, you can't mess it up, though. You can't mess it up. I think if he's a Mortal Kombat fan, then he'll do good. If he has someone around him, writers or someone are Mortal Kombat fans, then the movie should be good. But someone in there has to be a Mortal Kombat fan. It has to be.
Well, I think that absolutely.
I don't think it's going to necessarily be.
No, go ahead.
I was going to.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think absolutely you're going to have the writers be at least they got to know Mortal Kombat. Because I'm sorry, if you just hand this over to some writer that doesn't understand Mortal Kombat, it's going to be a train wreck. I mean, that's the biggest problem with a lot of movies these days is they give them to the wrong people who are like, oh, okay, yeah, and they make it this movie that it isn't even supposed to be.
Michael Bay with the Transformers.
Yeah.
Perfect example, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, Danny.
I partially agree with what Nzo said. He said more the game and not the books. I think you should get knowledge from everywhere you can get it, but then make sure your finishing moves and your fighting stuff is like the game, because that's what people are going to recognize. Everything else can be a little different, not exactly on track, but when they're fighting, you're going to see them Raider moves. We're going to hear Scorpion say, "Get over here." You're going to see Sub-Zero freezing stuff and making the frozen version of himself. We got to see all that. If we don't see all that, then it's going to be like, what the hell?
No, I agree with you too, but everything that's come, the books, the TV shows, everything's came from the game. So why do they need to go to the book? They just need to go to the games, you know what I mean? Because all those books and everything came from the game. So you just follow the game. Yeah. And the game has, after Mortal Kombat 9, they kind of rebooted, right? And went a different way. So you got to forget what they did before and follow from what Mortal Kombat 9 was, because that's what everybody's been following now. So,
well, yeah, but if you said they're going after Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, I mean, that
yeah, but Mortal Kombat 9 is more or less a remake of 1 and 2.
That's true. I mean, and they started making them into story, not open world per se. I mean, some of them had a kind of the open worldish side of it.
If you play the storyline, then it's a whole long story. So sometimes
I know. Yeah,
and watch it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying that the storyline don't have to be like we see on the games, in my opinion. But the finishing moves, the fighting style has to be like the game. If it's not, then that's going to be a big minus in the minus column.
Why all the secrecy around Johnny Cage?
I don't know. Secrecy around Johnny Cage? I don't know.
I think that there's a secrecy around this movie per se, because what you can find out is somewhat limited. Real quick, I wanted to...
Let's pull up the cast. Can you pull up the cast?
I'm going to do that now, because I think Johnny Cage was cast.
Real quick, Flash Thompson, Ghostbusters has been bad since the 90s. I may be young, but in recent movies. 2016 definitely was not good. I beg to differ on the 90 or 89, 91. I think that they were missteps, but I don't think it was horrid. I just think that they...
I totally feel where you're coming from, Chris. I hope that it's good, but I don't think they're not going to be able to recreate that magic between Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray, the one that died. I can't think of his name.
Harold Ramis,
and Dan Aykroyd. That was just magic between those.
I think that's the exact reason why this might work. Is that before Ramis died, they kept on trying to come up with a third one. They kept on, and then the person who would strike it down was Bill Murray. Bill Murray had to be in on it because he owned so much rights. Sony bought those rights from him, but Sony didn't want to do a third one with Ramis and Aykroyd if Murray wasn't involved. Right before Ramis died, Murray said, "Okay, I'll do a third one. I'm out after that completely. Every last iota of myself is out of this after the third one." Literally, as soon as he agreed to it, that's when Ramis died. And I think that that's going to take at least Aykroyd and Murray and make them want to make this absolutely, because that was the big thing. Murray just did not like the second one. He was not into it. I don't think he's going to stick around the whole time in this, knowing Bill Murray, and just do it. I think if it's not good, he wouldn't have been doing it. I think that Aykroyd and Murray are going to have something special here. And I think Ernie Hudson can join that too, because Ernie Hudson was an integral part of that group, even though he came late in the first movie. He solidified the rest of them. He was that outsider kind of going like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? But his whole shtick at the beginning is if it comes with a steady paycheck, I'll believe anything you damn well want me to believe. and so it was, I think they can recreate that.
And Ernie Hudson's role was supposed to be a lot bigger, right? Because it was written for Eddie Murphy.
Originally, yes. Mm-hmm. And when Eddie Murphy backed out, they kind of wrote the character out. And then I think it was Aykroyd met Ernie Hudson somewhere or was on the set with him acting in something else. And he's like, I think he can pull off that character, maybe not in our full vision. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of wrote it back in as a partial guy. And then in the second one, he became a part of that group. Mm-hmm. And again, if he didn't come in, I'm going to have a problem with Ramos not being in it, but you can't do anything about that. Mm-hmm. I just think that the three of them wouldn't come back if it just wasn't something that they really, truly deep down believed was good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I heard Bill Murray, he was like, didn't really want to do it because he needed a good script. His biggest issue was the script has to be good. So
I just kind of think if Bill Murray's on board, it's because he thinks it's worth the time. He doesn't have to do anything anymore. He acts to have fun. Mm-hmm. So yeah. You bring up hey Positive, how you doing? Did you bring up the cast?
Yeah, I got the cast up.
Go ahead.
Hold on, let's just share my screen. And there we go. So I don't see Johnny Cage here, so I don't think Johnny Cage has been cast.
Here we go. Sonya Blade, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Scorpion, Jax. Scorpion is going to be fired. That actor is great. Mm-hmm. Melina, Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung's the guy that played in Batman, right? The one that Batman went to Hong Kong to get.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Raiden. Oh yeah, that guy that plays Raiden, he's good too. Kano.
Mm-hmm. I like that they're getting all Asian-looking actors for a lot of this.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's.
I
am very pleased with Shang Tsung, Scorpion, and Raiden.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea who this is. Tara. I have no idea who that is. I don't even remember her from any of the games. But
Kimber. I don't know who Kimber is.
This one here.
Isn't that Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage's daughter in the game?
No, her name is Cassie. They don't have who she's playing here. My only issue with this list right here is this one here, Melina. Melina wasn't in Mortal Kombat until Mortal Kombat
3 or 4.
Yeah.
They already got her with the face stuff on.
Yeah, somebody did that to show her. The one thing I'm really thinking is going to help this movie is the jump in CGI.
Yes.
And there are many movies I say, don't rely on CGI. This is the opposite. Mm-hmm. You gotta, because that'll give you your finishing moves, the exact way you need to, and don't hold back on showing gore. I'm sorry.
It should be awesome if they do the CGI right.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you too. This is one movie that I think has to be R-rated. It has to be. You know what I mean? I don't want to see.
I don't want to see no PG-13.
Neither do I. I want to see blood. I want to see Sub-Zero rip off someone's head. You know,
I want to see some old freaky hardcore off-world sex too. No,
what? Listen to you. Oh my God.
Just saying.
I tell you, dirty old man, boy. ODB. That's your new name.
Yeah.
ODB.
No, I think that
you're gonna get up and go get some popcorn doing that.
No, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. I ain't saying I ain't gonna watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, this movie was just in pre-production when this all came down. I think we were getting answers in early 2019, and then I think actually they were just about to start, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, and it just so this is a 2022, 2023 movie probably now.
Mm-hmm.
God, don't say 2023. God, sounds like forever.
Yeah, I know, but
No telling what can happen in
you know what they say, Danny, right?
No,
Anything that's good is worth waiting for.
shit.
All right, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up, and we'll go around the board again. Nzo, go ahead and start. Tell everybody about yourself, where you can be found, all that good stuff.
Yes, guys, you know the channel, Biggaford Entertainment. Once again, I appreciate everybody that has supported and checked out the show. Later on tonight, we're going to be doing the OOC. Got a few topics in my LC. I'll speak with Roberto on how that goes, so I hope you guys check that out. We got the Rule of Three, Chaos Conversation, Chaos List, Equilibrium, Square One, Rob Storms. So if you guys, like the content that we put out, check it out. If you can't make it there right away, watch the replays, hit the like button, and, if you're not subscribed to the channel, man, because we do this for entertainment. We do it for you guys. It's fun for us, but it's also fun to interact with all you guys as well. So it's much appreciated.
All right. Danny, go ahead.
People, we need you to share, and continue sharing our channels. Share all of our streams. Please tell your friends to sub. We need your subs. Please hit notification bell because we want you to be notified each and every time that we upload content. We have content that covers all different categories, all different genres, all different topics. If you want variety, then you need to come see us. Between the three of us, we have several different shows. Sports shows, shows about guitarists, shows about Marvel, shows about DC, shows about Star Wars, shows about Star Trek. So we have a plethora of different categories that you can come and peruse and find out something that is going to tickle your fancy. So please, please, please support us. We, like Nzo said, we enjoy doing it. We don't do this because we have to. We do this because we want to. And so we just ask you, man, to support us. Thank you.
And you guys can skip the Star Trek one, the Star Trek.
Nah.
You don't want to watch that shit. One thing I will say though too is,
there's Trekkies out there, bro. You can't do that.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I really don't know why. But one thing I will say is that, we do Chaos List, Chaos Conversation, and we have a bunch of people on our panels. Danny has a couple people. I have a couple people. But I like this one with just the three of us. We're just talking and shit, Chris. A really good show, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm Chris Knight. I will say this, guys. I'm almost at 4,500 subs. I would like to get to 5,000 by the first year, but I'll tell you right now, if it's between me and these two gentlemen, go sub to them first, please, because these guys, I want everybody to be equal on here. And I don't mean that just by subs. I just mean I want people to go check out these other guys first. I got a lot of support right now. I appreciate everybody's support. If you want to sub to me, please do. But go check out these guys and go sub to them, because it's really important to build up smaller channels. Danny's moderately small channel. I won't say he's small, but Nzo, for instance, has just over 200 subs. So I'd like to see him get to 300 really quick. And then go check out Chaos Central if you haven't already. Our YouTube channels at youtube.chaoscentral.com. That's the easy way to get there. We're trying to get our vanity link. There's 14 more subs we need to get to that. But there's lots of people we have on these shows that are smaller channels. They deserve your subs just as much as I do. And I always want people to understand, I appreciate your subs, but please go check these other guys out first, please. With that said, I think that's all. We'll be back next Monday on the Chaotic Conversation with Danny. Tuesday, of course, with Nzo and the Chaos List. And every Wednesday, of course, right now at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern is the Rule of Three. So everybody, thank you for being here tonight. Be safe. And with that said, I like how these guys do it. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.